Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
That was like one of our better intros. I like that.
You killed it right there.
That was nice. Yeah, that had a little extra gravitas there.
You killed it.
All right, so we are talking about, listen, all right, so it's roster cuts like right now. We are still getting information. The cuts are already kind of like gone through, but then we're still getting like more cuts that are like hitting, I guess 4 o'clock was the number.
It's breaking news right now.
It's breaking news. So we're having a lot of fun with this. We got this site auto-updating on some of the biggest cuts. We're going to talk about that at the top of the show. Obviously, the Cam Newton news, like a lot of these big names, we're going to talk about them. And then we are going to get to the meat of the show, which are just our hot takes for the 2021 season. These are things we believe. We are not just trying to be clickbaity. These are takes that we genuinely believe can happen or will happen, or you know, however you want to say it, at least a good chance to, but something that, like, obviously not the likelihood, or, you know, an unlikely thing. The thing that we're basically going to be posting everywhere if we get it right somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to talk a little bit of football here. Let's get into it. Cam Newton cut. You're wearing the jersey to support.
I had to.
I love it. Listen, this has been your guy since college, obviously. Yeah. I think we both thought that it was going to be Cam Newton to start the season. I don't think we were alone on that. The majority of everything that I'd seen in the media was that Cam Newton was going to be the starter. Mac Jones had looked great, but he'd only really played with the twos, and as good as he looked, which I'd always said throughout the process, in 3 games, every single game, looking at the rookie quarterbacks of preseason, I came away thinking, okay, the Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are the two that look the most crisp. They look like seasoned vets.
And Trevor had an amazing last game.
Trevor looked great in that third game. You're absolutely right. But I just, in general, came away loving Mac Jones and thinking, okay, this is going to work long term. But we still thought it was going to be the Cam Newton team. You know, things happened. The COVID thing where he missed 5 days, I'm going to bring that up. But before we do, just your raw reactions to the cut and how you felt about this entire situation.
It's different to see the narrative shift from Cam Newton is our guy. We are moving in the right direction. He's going to be our starter going forward. To the COVID the little mishap, whatever it was, miscommunication. At the end of the day, I guess it was irresponsibility on Cam Newton's part or his camp for not taking the proper precautions. But even going forward, I did not see a realm where Cam Newton was cut. I saw a realm where he wasn't the starter. That's, Mac Jones was playing great. You don't draft a guy in the first round if you're not going to at least look for that to be your future. Mm-hmm. And if you feel that he's ready for your future, then what are you going to do? It was just the way that they handled it. But I'm starting to cope with it. My biggest problem I have with all of it is some of the haters of Cam Newton in general. It just feels like they kind of got their rejoice day, their final one, because it just surprises me that there's so many of them out there. Yeah. I know he's over the top and flamboyant and a good personality, but it's just, people just they're discrediting him for so much that he's done, and that infuriates me on that part. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. I think that does happen with these older quarterbacks that kind of leave their first team. I mean, we forget the Joe Flacco Super Bowl run. We forget the times where the Bengals were a real contender and had some tough losses in the playoffs, but I mean, they were really good with Andy Dalton. We forget those things when the quarterbacks become journeyman backups and things like that. I think that happens, and Cam Newton, such an out there personality and so divisive in I feel like the media and just fan bases in general. You love him or hate him, and I think we love him. You love him because he's your team and it's always been your guy. But I've never had a problem with his out there personality. I thought it was a fun part of the game and I always enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. Look, Cam Newton's not making anything, so the cut was not financial. I mean, his contract was bare minimum, like
$1.8 million.
Yeah, nothing. So the contract was not a financial move. This, to me, I mean, Bill Belichick makes this move if he feels that Cam Newton is detracting from the team in some way, and that's the part that I do want to unpack here for a second. Is how was he, a detriment to the team, and is it the you don't want 2 leaders on your football team from the quarterback position? Because I do get that Cam Newton's not going to stop being a leader, and Mac Jones did show good poise and did seem like he could be a leader, but it's tough when you're the incumbent. Is it that, or I do want to just throw this out there, the possibility that you look at what Cam Newton is as a quarterback, and if you're thinking, okay, Mac Jones is our future, that is the style of play we want to go back to, that's what we want to do, that's our bread and butter, all of those things, Cam Newton as a backup is going to have to be a completely different play style if Mac Jones were to get hurt. Now, Ryan Hoyer, the lesser quarterback between him and Cam Newton, at least fits that style and can run the offense if there were to be an injury. Was this a purely football move, or in your opinion? I don't really know one or the other. Was this a purely football move, or was this more of a we are worried about the locker room? I guess a locker room move.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that both of these play a part. I think both of them are viable options as to where Belichick sat down and was like, man, Cam is that alpha dog mentality, and he is a very just intimidating body overall. So it might be hard for Mac Jones to really step up and assert himself and be the leader of this football team. You know, it looked like Cam was doing all the right things, high-fiving him, supporting him, telling him everything. But at the end of the day, if you are going to have an alpha and another alpha, it might butt some heads. It might cause some dissonance in the locker room overall. Maybe some of the team was like, no, this is Cam's football team. No, this is Mac's football team. Okay, well, next thing you know, you're all arguing, you're all fighting about each other, and that's where the play style comes into effect then.
Yeah.
I feel like if Cam were to be able to fit into that mold of that, there's nothing wrong with having an iron sharpens iron thing, but having one that is so much of a different play style than the other, that's where I think both factors is what contributed to them saying, Cam, it was good. You were a placeholder. It came to an end a little bit sooner than what we thought we would, but Mac's ready. And Mac looks great. Mac, yeah. I think, that this is a move for the Patriots going forward that's going to benefit them overall. I'm not upset when it comes to the Patriots' success. I think they're going to be a very good team. They can bounce back as far as what Mac's able to take them right now, and there's some limiting factors on the team overall. I'm upset just looking at it from a Cam Newton fan that I feel like he's willing to go do whatever the right thing is and do it, and he just, I'm still kind of waiting for him to get a break. But then again, he had a chance last year. Yeah. And there were times where it worked, and there were times where it didn't work. So
yeah, I think there's certainly apologists. Like as far as I can sit here and give you a lot of excuses for Cam and say, hey, that team was not super good. I think there was a reason why Tom Brady wanted to leave. Like there just wasn't a lot of talent around that offense specifically. So there is that aspect for why it wasn't as good as it could have been. But he did also lose 2 games by fumbling the ball. Like that, they could have had 2 extra wins in there.
He tried to play hero ball. He tried to do too much at times. And maybe that's where Bill was like, we're just going a different direction.
Yeah. So, and ultimately, I don't think it really occurred to us last offseason Cam Newton could go to the Patriots because it did, I guess, but it was not like something that I think was highly thought of as a real possibility because it didn't really fit the style. And I think, this move.
It didn't. It was,
it never really did. So I do think this move kind of just reflects that overall arching feeling from even when Cam Newton got the job with the Patriots. It was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. How is this going to work? There was excitement beyond that about that, but there was also that doesn't fit. Like that's the polar opposite of what Brady was.
It just took a weird COVID year.
Yeah.
With all these opt-outs, with all these different things, it was like, you know what? Why not get Cam as a cheap placeholder?
Yeah,
with that too?
That's what he was.
And exactly that. Yeah. And it was pretty apparent to see how quick Bill was ready just to move on and get things going in the other direction.
Yeah, absolutely. So hey, one of those moves the Patriots do all the time. Veteran guys invest very little and move on when you've seen enough. And hey, that's what happened. It'll be interesting to see where Cam Newton goes. I think the Dallas Cowboys as a backup would be interesting. I think he's certainly a upgrade over Cooper Rush, who's going to be the backup for the Cowboys. Yeah. And he would fit that mold of what a Dak Prescott does. I think to a lesser degree, I think Dak Prescott's a lot better quarterback.
Dak is.
I don't want people to mishear me or hear what I'm not saying. Last thing I want to say on this, and I want to know if this, I don't know. I'm going to postulate this possibility here because we saw Urban Meyer come out and say that the COVID vaccine was a contributing factor in some of his cuts, right? He came out and said that. Very interesting thing. It's a decisive subject. Listen, I'm not a political guy. I'm not going to sit here and have a stance on that because I just don't it's not my place to put on that. So for those listening, have whatever opinion you have on this, but Cam Newton did get COVID last year and did miss 2 weeks, right? So COVID took him out of the season for 2 weeks out of the year. That was obviously a detriment to the football team. And then COVID, he didn't get the shot. He is unvaccinated according to reports that I've seen. And he has the thing with the 5 days where you mentioned it earlier. There was a misunderstanding with whatever it was. It was labeled misunderstanding. Either way, that did happen at the crux because he didn't get vaccinated and didn't want to, which is teach their own. He didn't want to get vaccinated, is what it is. And it cost him 5 days. In those 5 days, in those 5 practices that Mac Jones got to be the starter, all reports out of camp was that he killed it. Everything was positive. Everything was great. And I remember watching ESPN, and not really hard watching it, but like it was on in the background, and listening to someone talk about how it'll be really interesting to see what happens the next day when Cam Newton's back. Does he go back into the ones, or what happens? And I think I think he did end up going back into the ones, but that might have been enough for the coaching staff to say, oh, okay, we finally saw him with the ones, because he didn't play with the ones. Like, this was not really a quarterback competition at its truest sense. At least it wasn't presented that way to us. So, I wonder how much of a factor that had. I wonder, did he lose his job because he didn't get vaccinated in a roundabout way, not in a direct way, but in a roundabout way?
Yeah, I would say in a roundabout way, definitely, just because that lost him the opportunity in those 5 days. That's all it took. Even if Cam wasn't with the ones, even if Cam was just in the building at practice, maybe it's a different version of Mac Jones. But I guess for those 5 days, Mac was probably really loose. He was, like, no pressure. Let's go out there and do it. Let's flex the arm a little bit. Beautiful deep ball here and there. And then he went out there in that last preseason game and led the team well. So, you got your glimpse of the future and it looked good. So why pull Mac back?
Yeah.
Why be like, bro, that was good, but we're going to make you wait? If a guy's ready to go, let him go. I'm a very big advocate on if a guy's not ready to go, don't criticize him and don't say he's not a good quarterback for it. But if he's ready to go, let him go. And if it needs time, then do. And I think that was one of the reasons why Cam ended up losing his job. Looking at it from a bigger picture, like you said, we'll keep opinions out of this and everything. To each is their own. Do whatever you feel is best for you and go forward with that. But when it comes to looking at it from a football perspective, with the fantasy lenses on, I was looking at the Arizona Cardinals. They're a team that I've talked to you about a little bit. They're 95% vaccinated, and that 5% is DeAndre Hopkins. D-Hop said that he is willing to retire before it gets mandatory. So it's it's a real thing. There's a lot of guys who have a lot of different varying opinions on this, and when it comes to something as serious as what this whole issue is, it's scary to think that such a weapon like DeAndre Hopkins could be out of a game or out of this or out of that just because that's kind of where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, if he travels to Tennessee week 1. Guess which state's having a huge outbreak?
Yeah,
and we live here and we know it's that
real world right now.
Yes, and it's nobody's really doing anything about it. It's just an outbreak, and it is what it is. Again, like, I'm a server downtown Nashville. I'm happy nobody's doing anything about it.
We need the business.
Yeah, I like the money, but yeah. So week 1 he gets it. He's out for 2-3 weeks. I mean that at least is a fantasy. If you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams,
it's DK
or DK, whatever it is.
The case is.
Whatever those two guys are that you're looking between, that might be the deciding factor. It's weird to say it like that.
It's a weird fold to look at it like that. But at the end of the day, if it were to be some on extreme measure that, the NFL says you have to do this, then I guarantee you there's going to be players that say no.
Yeah,
we're not.
Absolutely.
We will not play football anymore.
For one
whatever
reason
the case may be. Yeah,
absolutely.
D-Hop's is one of those superstar factors who might outweigh that value, and that's where he would be able to flex it.
Yeah,
but it just depends.
All right, so I certainly agree with a lot of what you said there, and I mean all of it, honestly. Let's move on. Let's talk about some of the other cuts. I want to mention a wide receiver out of Tennessee that was cut. Rookie wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick. I know that's a name that a lot of people aren't going to know. Drafted in the 4th round. I'm a big draft guy. Not a guy that was on my radar going into the draft. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because the Titans traded up 3 picks to go get him. One of them was a 7th, whatever, but still gave away 3 assets to move up and go get Des Fitzpatrick, and he's gone 3 months later. Very, very interesting. Or I guess 4 months later, whatever it is. That's just surprising to me to see them miss on it.
I've heard horrible news.
Bad things.
Being in the Titans area, around here in Tennessee, from the beat writers talking about the wide receiver room. When you get away from A.J. Brown and Julio, there is no depth. I've heard stuff that Josh Reynolds lacks explosiveness. He lacks effort, that he's not even trying, and that's your 3. You lose a Des Fitzpatrick, who you just traded up for and trying to make that move. They're saying that the wide receiver room as a whole, that goes for the tight end room as well. They're saying that Anthony Ferkser's in over his head. Yeah. So kind of a little bit of bad news.
That's interesting. And it's not like either of those top 2 wide receivers on that team has any injury history or is known for missing games, half games, or anything like that.
No reason to be scared.
That would be the only reason I would be scared.
Yeah. Wide receiver depth doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. The good news is there are a lot of teams. There's going to be a lot of good wide receivers that are cut. That there's a lot of teams that had some pretty
These next
tough
3
decisions.
names, I think the Titans could bring in.
Yeah, Yeah, so Travis Fulgham, Eagles, what guy who kind of had a little bit of a breakout in the back end of the 2019 season, was a big part of the 2020 season just because they had nobody, and I certainly thought he would make the roster. He's cut. John Brown requests to be cut, and they obliged by that. The Raiders, who signed him in the offseason, let him go. I think that's good news if you're targeting a Ruggs or their other Brian Edwards. I was thinking the other rookie wide receiver. What's his name? So that's an interesting name. Kiki Kuti, a guy from Houston who had moments as far over the first 3 or 4 years of his career, however long it's been.
I don't think they're anything to write home about, but they're still serviceable.
Certainly a name to know. Yeah, absolutely.
What do they got going?
Yeah, exactly. Very surprising. I don't know the wide receiver depth on the Texans, but that's certainly a surprising name to see a cut. We saw Trevor Siemian go. That's not really a surprise. I'm just kind of going through this list.
That was one that got missed. He has been a very, very good piece whenever he left the Packers. He was a stud there.
Defensive tackle for the Bengals, by the way. Just a cut there. That was interesting. And we're just going through the list here. Whoa, Colin Johnson.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 5th round pick from 2020.
No.
Colin Johnson. So this was, this is a guy who had a lot of love coming out of Texas, and a lot of people really liked him. Obviously, that reaction shows it there.
I like Colin Johnson.
Yeah, 6'6", 222 pounds, had 18 catches last year. Honestly, big ass bodied receiver. So that was surprising. Riley Ridley, another 2019 4th round pick that was cut. Got a lot of wide receivers missed over the past 2 years.
He's going to the Falcons, bro. He's going to go be with his brother.
Dude, wouldn't that be cool as shit? Go be the back. Yeah, Falcons don't have a lot of depth, I don't feel like, in that wide receiver room either.
Packers.
Packers move on from...
that's Randall Cobb's spot.
From St. Brown. St. Brown, 6th round pick, been in the league for a couple years. That's nothing to write home about. Peyton Barber, that's interesting news fantasy-wise. If you're listening to this and you haven't done your draft, or this guy, honestly, would probably be on your waivers. Antonio Gibson is going to be the starter, but it's going to be Jarrett Patterson. They drafted him, 6th round, 4th round, 5th round?
Out of Buffalo.
Late round. Oh, 4th rounder, excuse me. Or no, that's a different guy. Sorry, I don't know where they drafted him.
They cut Gandy Golden, though, who's a guy that I thought, now they still have
another look. Just
I guess it is Patterson. Isn't
just a point. Yeah, it's going to be Jarrett Patterson. That's going to be the number 2. I read the article about it. I just don't remember where he was drafted, or what round he was drafted in. I have a draft profile on that if you want to check him out. Good type of wide receiver, fits the mold, I feel like, of the Antonio Gibson guy. He'll get some touches. We'll see how he goes. I don't really remember watching him in preseason. I did hear good things from some beat writers and stuff that Jarrett Patterson was turning heads. So that's good to see. Young guy. You always go younger at the running back position. Antonio Golden, as you said, 4th rounder out of Liberty, I believe.
Who was the guy last year that would split carries PPR back-wise, serviceable at times? It wasn't Gandy Golden. With
Antonio
Gibson.
It was Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber was the split.
I thought there was another name in there. I guess it could be.
Yeah, it was Antonio Gibson. Peyton Barber was the guy who was getting 6 receptions a game and just killing me because I needed Antonio Gibson to get those catches. I'm pretty sure it was Peyton Barber. You might be thinking of somebody else, and I could be missing it.
Keep talking.
So another big-bodied wide receiver that didn't have that next level explosiveness.
J.D.
McKissick. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, the 3rd stringer. I don't know if he's on the roster or not. I'd have to look that up.
He's not. Okay. Patterson's the backup. He might be on roster, but Patterson's the guy to go target.
Yeah, that's the article I read, is that Patterson's the backup. So interesting to see the NFL. We've known this for a while. The NFL is moving away from those big body wide receivers and getting into smaller and speedier. We just don't see a lot of those big body guys that have a step like you see. I would say Sutton is a good example of a guy who's big body, got hurt last year. I understand that, but he has the explosiveness to still be really really good. But Golden came out, we knew he wasn't going to be special, athleticism wise. Colin Johnson, same kind of story, didn't have special athleticism, but was just really big and really, had good jump ball capabilities. Interesting to see, those type of wide receivers less and less valued, and it's one of those things, I think, where you have one, you don't need a second, and that's an interesting place to look at it. Dolphins cut their starting center. They also cut McKinney, the starting linebacker. I was very surprised by that.
Bernardrick.
So I think that's it. I think that's it for the big.
Everson Griffin.
Everson Griffin. That just happened. That isn't.
That one upset me just because we desperately need that pass rush, and I had heard that he had come in and had meaningful snaps to where he wasn't going to be out there handing the dirt across from Daniil Hunter like he was, but he could have a meaningful role in that rotation. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Minnesota as a whole, though, so that's just a different story.
Yeah, I am too, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't think the defense is gonna hit.
I think
we're gonna have a very serviceable offense with some firepower at times, but the offensive line is gonna hold that back for whatever that can be, and then our defense isn't good enough to amount to anything. I think we finished third in the division.
Yeah, listen, I get it, and listen, we're going into we're going into our hot take part of the segment, and I wanna touch on that, and I'll actually start with one of my hot takes. I think this is Mike Zimmer's last year as a head coach in the NFL. I do. I think the Vikings are going to move on this year. I don't
think it's a hot take.
Yeah, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a cool take, but yeah, I think you kind of set me up pretty well. I think this is one of those teams. Listen, they have some really good pieces. I still like Kirk Cousins. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Obviously, we love the running back. We love the wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, all that. Their offensive line is in a worse position this year than it was last year. Their first round pick has a core muscle injury that still hasn't been worked out. There was surgery in the offseason, and he's gotten second and third opinions. I haven't read the article. I haven't checked up on that in a couple weeks, to be honest with you, since the last time I read about it. But that was an ongoing issue. Their third round pick, I believe their guard, I'm blanking on his name. He's been running with the threes, so he's not going to be starting.
Talking about Wyatt Davis.
Wyatt Davis, thank you. I knew I could get there, but I would struggle, so I was like, I'm just not even going to try. Yeah. So it's bad. Those were the big offensive line moves. They didn't really go out in free agency and go grab anybody, so they were relying on the draft, which they've done before, and teams have known that, and they knew that this year, I think, as well. It is what it is. It looked really good after the draft, and I had some hope, but the offensive line, I stand by it. It's a worse situation this year than it was last year, and that's not a good place to be when last year it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was a sub 16 bottom half of the league offensive line. Yeah. And we didn't make the moves in the right areas. I think it falls on Mike Zimmer. I think it falls on Rick Spielman, our GM.
I think they should both be
kind of ready to see the whole regime kind of move out.
Restart.
Get some young, because we had a window. We made the right moves.
You missed it.
And I feel like we had the window at a time when the window really just presented itself out of nowhere for Minneapolis Miracle. Case Keenum was our quarterback during that time. So it felt like, wow, we have all of this buzz. Now we go get Kirk. Now we go get this and go get that. It's a good team. And it just did not work. Having to pay that much money up front and outright to Kirk, as much as I like him, it just ended up backfiring in the end.
Yeah, it's just...
Kirk is a good quarterback. He is an above average to great guy at times, but when it comes to having to balance out the books, man.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to. He's not a guy that's going to make your offensive line look that much better, like a Patrick Mahomes can. And I'm comparing him to the top guys because he's getting paid like that. I still think he's a very great, very good to great quarterback. But at the same time, he doesn't elevate the offensive line and help them out a whole lot. And I do think he elevates the wide receivers. I will say that. But overall, you just look at this defense. It looks like a lot of older names. That front seven has aged.
I actually like it.
Well, yeah, no, I do. Yeah. I don't hate it, and I'm not saying they're going to be terrible. But the thing that their bread and butter is supposed to be for this defense is the cornerback situation, and they have missed on cornerbacks early in the first two rounds. And now their starters are Brashad Breeland from Kansas City and Patrick Peterson from Arizona. And hopefully Brashad Breeland can be the guy. Hopefully Patrick Peterson has another year of elite play left. But you got Alexander McKenzie, an early round pick, backup. And
bro, we brought honestly the rest of them. We drafted him originally, and then he went to go play for Cincy
for 1 year, and then came back.
That's how hard overall when you look at how many shots they have taken
and missed.
For Zimmer to be a secondary genius, or not secondary particular, I would like to think that's where he goes all the time. A defensive guru. For that. There's a lot of misses, man. There's been a lot of good talent. I love this front seven. Eric Kendricks is one of the most underrated linebackers in the league. Anthony Barr, while yes, maybe overpaid, he still has a very, very good role in this offense. Nick Vigil was a very good pickup for us. I think he's a serviceable role play guy.
Solid linebacker.
Dalvin Tomlinson and Michael Pierce. Michael Pierce was out last year due to the COVID opt-outs and whatnot. And then Danielle Hunter, rising star, soon to be household name. Is that Sheldon Richardson?
I think Danielle Hunter should be a household name.
I would hope. Is that Sheldon Richardson too? I didn't know we had him.
Yeah. Y'all got him this past year. But he's a shell of what he used to be.
Exactly.
So listen, I totally get what you're saying, and I do like the front seven. I do look at all those names and think, aging. Certainly, not young blood anymore.
And Harrison Smith, we just made him the top paid safety.
Is he 29?
32.
Fuck. You can't do that.
4-year deal.
Granted, safety, you don't have to have quite the elite athleticism. You do have to have a corner, but
that's always been Harrison's bugaboo, is what people say, is that when it comes to run stuffing, I would put him at right behind Honey Badger overall in the NFL.
Did not
overall pass coverage. He's 32 years old and he's making $64 million over 4.
Fuck. All right. Hey, it is what it is.
I like him. That's hard to do though.
Yeah, listen, that's my hot take. It is what it is. I guess it's not as hot as you thought. Let's hear your first hot take for this episode.
My first hot take is going to be Kyle Pitts will be the offensive rookie of the year. And my argument behind it, I've kind of been trending on and off thinking about it, and I finally submitted myself, and I'm going to pick a side on the fence, and it's going to be on the side that he's going to be really damn good. I think that last year, not last year, 2 years ago, whenever DK was coming out, people started really getting in there and picking at some nitty-gritty mustard bullshit when it came to lateral quickness. His three-cone was bad. Stop. Even when it comes to Kyle Pitts, you didn't even have that argument in the first place. But I relate it to DK in an essence that this is such a physical, imposing body, a freak of nature. It's going to hit. There's so many teams that passed on like a DK whenever it came down to that stuff because of certain areas. No, Pitts got taken 4th overall. I understand the tight end argument. I understand that first-year tight ends primarily don't explode like they do. He is not going to be used as that. We all saw, and I don't want to sound like I'm jumping up and down over that one preseason play, but the electricity translated. He had it in college. It translated. DK had it in college. It translated. When you were electric, when you were that big of a physical, imposing freak, you got it.
I wanted to give you just another name and give you Clay. I can't talk. The Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers, same kind of story. Big physical guy out of
You're right. Claypool. People are overthinking
Claypool. Oh, God, I can't talk at all.
Chase
Claypool. I'm trying to say Claypool for some reason. So I was just, as you were talking, I was looking up to see where his numbers would be. Kyle Pitts plus 1,100 to win Rookie of the Year. Mine is a little bit higher. He's jumped up the rankings today. Actually, I was gonna say, I'm gonna not agree with you. Tight end to be Rookie of the Year is a very, very hot take. I was gonna say my hot take is I think this thing with the Patriots is gonna work. I really do. I think this Mac Jones thing plus 450 on what we're looking at right now. Yeah, I think it could be dangerous. 17 games, he could throw for 4,500 yards his first season and just be
Did you see what the projected was? It was 4,428 touchdowns.
Yeah,
it's very attainable.
Yeah, it would not surprise me a bit. And Trevor Lawrence on a bad team, Zach Wilson on a bad team. Those are the two guys that I think are more talented. I think are far none more talented, but they're on worse teams, worse situations, and question marks in a lot of different places. I can write the pitch for how Zach Wilson does it, for how Trevor Lawrence does it. Obviously, I can do it for any of these quarterbacks. But Mac Jones to me feels like I'm kind of surprised he's at 450. To be honest, I thought he would be still the 5th quarterback.
No,
just because
he astronomically jumped. I saw the Bleacher Report thing that was linked to FanDuel saying how much he jumped up.
Really?
From where?
Do you remember where it was?
Just after Cam was cut.
Do you remember where it was by any chance?
Oh, he was at 850.
He was at 850.
Yeah, I remember looking at it. He was right behind Wilson.
Yeah, so that's
so he was right behind Wilson, still above Najee.
Yeah.
Which puts him at the last quarterback though.
Yeah, interesting. So that was my hot take. I thought that was I guess saying a quarterback not nearly as hot as a tight end. That's bold. That's
a bold take, man. But
it is.
I think that people are getting too cute and overthinking it. So I guess maybe don't focus on the Rookie of the Year thing. I truly believe that Kyle Pitts is capable of doing that, and the version that I think will take the field and the accolades will come from that, solely because I think some of these other quarterbacks are kind of got to struggle early on.
Yeah.
And Kyle Pitts will be that much better in a class where he is already the dude. The main thing that I want people to get is I think people are overthinking a lot of stuff when it comes to Kyle Pitts about the tight end argument. About the guy's damn good and it's going to translate.
Yeah. No, I agree.
They're saying that this is can't miss. He was the generational talent out of all of it.
I was just looking at the Elijah Vera Tucker odds to win Rookie of the Year.
Oh, Tommy Tremble,
the offensive guard,
Jamie Newman.
I can't believe these are odds. Jamie Newman got cut by the Eagles. He wasn't even drafted.
It's a good bet.
Elijah Vera Tucker is the guard for the Jets. Tommy Tremble is a tight end / H-back for the Panthers. No, he's got Rashawn Slater. I just thought that was funny. I was just looking at it.
That's bad.
Sorry, so I was not listening.
Okay. If I were to reach right here and just bear with me for just a millisecond, it would be that Sam Ellinger at plus 8,000.
I mean, if you're going to reach,
there
I think Kellen Mond
if I'm talking about a reach,
has a better chance.
I think Ellinger might be able to get the start if Wentz is hurt.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
both
of them need an injury.
I think he has a clear spot, but Wentz is always banged up and still hurt currently.
That's true.
Ellinger has gotten reps with the ones. If there's a guy at plus 8,000 who's gotten reps with the ones, I would run that at quarterback.
Yeah.
It's a very good team.
Yeah, absolutely. That's can't imagine that happening, but that would be pretty crazy.
It's a reach. Kadarius Toney at plus 7,500 is kind of disrespectful to Kadarius Toney.
Do you know where he's getting drafted right now?
He is
like the 16th round
dollar.
Yeah,
out of all of the rookie wideouts, Amon Ra goes before
the guy who got drafted 20th overall is just going for nothing. That's so shocking. And the thing is, if he would have gone 31st overall, well, no, not 31st, but if he would have gone to the Chiefs, is what I was thinking.
And it's there.
Yeah, he'd be the number one
Packers, guy. It's there or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about him?
I haven't heard anything one way or the other.
Neither have I.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, no news is bad news. I would say that. So like, if he's not generating buzz, he's not. They usually keep it hush when things aren't going right for these young rookies. So that's no news is bad news for the most part. Especially
your turn on hot take. Man.
Yeah, hot take. Let me look at my notes here. I can't pull my notes up. Give me your next hot take, and then I'll give you two.
So this is a very, 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 very bold one, and I can. I guess hedge it just a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's that we will see our first 6,000 yard passer this year.
First 6,000 yard passer.
First 6K. And I know we're only adding a game. That comes out to 351 yards per game.
That's a really good one. Damn, that's a good one.
I think we will see our first 6,000 yard passer.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
And my bet is that it's Josh Allen, and I think Josh Allen wins MVP this year. I know that's where it gets a little bit, specifically nailing it. But 6,000 yard passer.
Give me your take. Give me your.
So I think 351 yards. When you look at
very
it,
attainable.
It is, and especially considering that there's times where Josh Allen went up into the fours a few times.
Easily, yeah.
You can buy some yards there. You can go up to like a 415, a 430 1 week, and then the next that gives you the 285 average game, which for Josh Allen in a heavy passing attack is kind of a fall off almost, if you will. There wasn't one game where he was held below, I'm pretty sure, 200. That's a guarantee.
And I would argue that defense isn't that good. I mean, they're really well coached. The head coach is a defensive mind, and like they're schematically good. But I mean, the Jimmy and Joes really aren't there, especially like front seven. They have issues. They drafted some young guys. Hopefully they hit.
They have major gaps there. Yeah.
But yeah, there's certainly some gaps there. So like I say all that to say, they could get in a shootout with one of these other high powered offense. Like you get a shootout with the Chiefs, you're probably looking at 500 yards each. Like that's going to help you out in the long run, right? I mean, So and the other part of it is you need your guy to be playing week 17.
For sure, you still have to be competitive.
You need it to be competitive, but not too competitive.
Maybe there's a Jameis where Jameis comes out there slinging it.
Ooh,
I don't know. 6,000. I think that we are getting to the point where it's close.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's at right now, what the total record is, but I know that Breeze has surpassed that several times. Brady has done that several times in a way different league. And the way that the league is transitioning nowadays with defense really not being able to do much, we're seeing so many different rule changes and whatnot. I think 6,000 is attainable.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. All right, so my next hot take, I got it here, is it's a Carolina Panthers hot take. I'm not going to say they win the division, but I'm going to say they go far into the playoffs.
Okay.
I think that, I've been on the Carolina Panthers the entire year. I wanted my hot take to be they win the division and they're dominant, but it's the Bucks and the Saints,
hard, yeah.
and I can't honestly say that I think that
the Saints.
I could too, but both of them and the Bucks are obviously a very good team. We're going to be unveiling next week our power rankings for every single week.
Yeah.
And I know you have the Bucks at number 1, right?
Yes.
So we were talking about that earlier. So that's tough to put them ahead of that. I do think I look at this Carolina Panthers team, and I think the first 4 weeks you might see some bumps in the road, the team kind of getting used to each other. But once Darnold gets going, and I do believe that will happen, I think this has the potential to be one of the most dangerous offenses in the NFL. The offensive line is good enough. I don't have a huge issue there. Is it the best offensive line in the world? No. But receiving core, I believe the top 3 can be the top trio in the NFL.
Their weapons can go be a trio.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
I think DJ Moore really hasn't even broken out the way he could. I think DJ Moore, on top of this, if it goes the way I think it's going to go with a very efficient passing offense that it just wipes people out, I think DJ Moore could have that Stephon Diggs step up. We always knew Stephon Diggs was good, and maybe even to a higher extent, because I don't think we view DJ Moore this year the way we viewed Stephon Diggs last year before the season.
Stephon went from great to elite.
Exactly.
I think Moore can go from good
really
to great elite.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah. But I'm talking about that kind of level up as far as the way we see this player. I think he has that potential. Robbie Anderson, I think we know what he is. Really, really, really good number 2 who can be very competitive, very complimentary.
With Darnold, too.
Yeah, exactly. Reunited with Darnold, so there's going to be some good plays there. And then, listen, everybody knows if you listen to this pod how I feel about Terrace Marshall. I think he's a really, really good player. He's popped in preseason.
It's a good opinion to have right
there's been a lot of good talk. And listen, I've been on him since before the draft. And when he went to the Panthers, I was incredibly excited, and I'm still here for it. I really am. I believe in the player. I believe he's going to have a big year. Look, it might not even be like special statistically. It might be like a Michael Pittman type year. Michael Pittman had like 500 yards and had some good moments, and like we'll see what happens next year. But I think it'll even be a little bit better than that. But like I'm just saying, like a guy who maybe doesn't have like the great statistical year, it might not be 1,000 yards his rookie year or anything, but I think he'll be a good complement to that offense. And then I don't need to mention CMC, right? On top of that, flip it over, their defense.
Yeah, listen, you named all that stuff and didn't mention the best running back in the league.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying, because I don't need. We know CMC. We know what he is. I don't need to mention him. I'm explaining the passing offense because Sam Darnold, questionable. The wide receiver weapons, as good as I think they are, might not be in the mainstream considered that great. So that's kind of how I'm trying to explain it. And then flip it over on the defense. This is one of the best young defenses in the league. I would put it up there with maybe not in the elite category, but it's right below that. And I think they have a really good front seven led by Brian Burns. You have a good secondary led by Patrick Chung. Not Patrick Chung. Their rookie Jeremy Chin. Sorry.
And now Jason Horn ready to go.
Exactly. So a lot of good pieces there. Listen, the defense is questionable. They're spending the least amount in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball, mainly because they just drafted defense and they're all young players starting. But it seems like they've hit on a lot of those guys, and I do think that defense as a whole is going to get better and better. I'm excited for this team, man. I think they are. I think they're a playoff bound team. I think they're going to have a great statistical year. I think fantasy players are going to win their leagues with a DJ Moore, with a Sam Darnold who's free in every fucking league right now. Like that. That's what I'm excited. I hate telling you that because we're about to draft our fantasy league in a couple hours.
Literally in 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, listen, DJ Moore. It is what it is. You're going to get it. I won't have a chance to get him. Well.
Maybe
we'll see. Anyway, that's way off topic. So that's my hot take. I'll let you go with yours.
So real quick, I want you to Google running back 360 carries curse. Just do that and see if you can find something.
Okay.
While I will ramble on about my next thing, which is I think that Derrick Henry is capable of going 2K last year, 2K this year. Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards in high school. He did it in college, and he did it in the pros. He is the only athlete on the face of this earth to ever do that. And 370, that's the curse. There we go. Just click it. I know that's from a long time ago. That was from 2010, but there's a curse exists. It is known as the curse of 370, and it's the thought that the running backs who get this amount of carries substantially drop off. And I'm not talking like, they still get like 300 something carries or whatnot. They haven't finished a season.
Yeah.
After doing that, Derrick Henry has surpassed that 2 seasons in a row now. It is damning numbers, but I'm going to put all that to bed. I think Derrick Henry, with the Titans offense and the way that they use him and utilize him and the way they're going to have to lean on him, he's going to get the 2K, add in the other game that's going to be happening, 2,000 yards back-to-back. He's going to cement himself as the best running back out there. The curse for that was written in 2010. There was one in 2020 that has more.
I'm just going through the number. Like I'm not going to get through the nitty-gritty on this. It just names that they're pointing out to explain this curse. Eric Dickerson, Larry Johnson. You have Chris Johnson here, CJ2K.
After his 2K year.
CJ2K. Excuse me, another Tennessee player, Eddie George. You got Earl Campbell. You got Walter Payton. They're all talking about that. Emmitt Smith here. He did it twice. Man. And it makes sense, right? I mean, bodies wear out. It's just so hard not to be that. Yeah, there's some precedent there for sure. I never heard about that.
Michael Turner was one of the biggest ones to bring it back. Which now are they saying it's the curse of 400 now? Is that
this
the whole
is the
thing?
Christian McCaffrey edition? Yeah.
Yeah, because so there it's touches versus carries because there is a whole nother debate about like McCaffrey getting used in the Kamara the same way. There's stats behind it, man. The drop off is bad.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I hadn't heard about that. And you're saying,
and we're talking about some of the greatest. I think he bucks the trend.
So you don't think the Julio Jones
he bucked it last year?
Yeah,
it's hard to buck it 3 times. Yeah.
Wow. So you don't think the Julio Jones addition affects his rushing yards at all? You're not expecting anything like that?
It could change the number up a little bit. But then again, no, because I think he's getting 2K. I think he's going to get what he did last year. I think Julio Jones is going to be a amazing complimentary piece in this offense. I don't think Julio is the focal point of anything. It's still Derrick Henry.
Fair enough. All right, my last one that I really wanted to bring up is again another one I really don't want to bring up ahead of the draft. I hope hope this stays between us because we're going to draft tonight. Pod comes out tomorrow. My rookie wide receiver that I have scoring the most yards, or the most receiving yards for rookie wide receiver,
Elijah Moore,
will be Jalen Waddle.
Oh wow, was not ready for that.
Yeah, the guy who I've been up and down. I'm a Dolphins fan. I get it. I know it's maybe this is a homer pick. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I think it's Jalen Waddle, man. I think he's going to be a big part of the offense. I think he's going to be the ultimate slot receiver who can just do everything. I think there's a clear-cut role for him, and he just looks so explosive. And the best part is he's a little bit under the radar because he didn't have like that one incredible play in preseason that made the headlines and nothing like that. But I do think he's going to come out and have a ridiculous rookie year.
So I think I can also, how I rambled about DK and Pitts and their physical ability and whatnot popping like that, Waddle has that same ability. Yeah. He really does, and I think people are starting to overthink it, especially when it comes to, because where Pitts is at, Pitts has expectation.
Yeah.
I'm saying that he's going to get to that, though. DK, people had doubts.
Yeah.
Waddle, people just aren't talking about when it comes to your draft. Jalen Waddle,
and he was drafted 3 picks after
12th round, and he went 6 overall, right?
Yeah, 6 overall.
6th overall.
3 picks after Pitts, he went 6th.
We're talking, and that is the difference in a guy where Kyle Pitts goes in the 3rd, 4th, 5th-ish round.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle goes in the 11th, 12th, 13th, whatever. And in a Miami passing attack, yes, I understand that it hinges on Tua, but
talk about Jamar Chase picked 1 pick ahead, and obviously, he had the pedigree, and I get that going 5th, 6th round in fantasy drafts, and I mean, really has not looked the part. I mean, as far as what we've seen, 5 drops,
5 drops.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him. Which I was very high on. He was my guy, so I'm very surprised by that so far, and hopefully he can get that fixed. But certainly weird how he's been the guy who Jalen Waddle specifically has been the guy who's been under the radar.
Yeah.
But I get it. Too, there's a lot of questions about the passing game, and so often with fantasy, it's more about fit than talent.
To be fair, Devontae Parker is down as well, and Mike Gesicki is down as well.
They're all down, and I don't think they should be. I think this is going to be. I think Tua, at the very least, will be efficient with the football, and will get his guys the ball. And I think they're going to be a good football team. Maybe not great. Maybe all of those guys won't be a success where they're getting drafted. But I mean, I certainly think there's value to be had.
I don't know if you checked your phone before we started doing this, but y'all's coach released a statement on Tua and about it. Is that coach talk? Is that doing what you should do as a coach? Just addressing it because that's what I think it is. Because you can't sit there and say while Tua is your quarterback, oh yeah, we're exploring Deshaun stuff,
So you don't have any more hot takes, do you?
No.
Okay, so let's just transition into this conversation, not planned or anything, but we'll talk about this and then close the show out. Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors about Deshaun Watson getting traded to the Dolphins. Those rumors kind of hyped up. Apparently, they were coming from other football teams that backed out and it gave the number, and the Dolphins were the only one in there. And I've gone so far as to hear reports that like one of the bigger negotiating problems is that a unnamed team, my theory, the Dolphins, wants to have protection on the picks that they would be sending. For instance, if they did send 3 firsts and a second for Deshaun Watson, and next year, even next year after the draft, as far as what I heard, even if it's next year after the 2022 draft, and Deshaun Watson gets a year in jail or whatever he gets, can't play football for whatever legal reasons, the Texans have to return picks for Deshaun Watson, right? And whether you think that's right or wrong,
the Texans are saying no.
Yeah, of course the Texans are saying no, but you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now, where you're either not going to get the value you should get because of the questions behind the legal issues there, or you're going to get the value you should get, or at least a comparable value to 3 firsts and seconds their asking price. And you're going to have to give some kind of assurances to the team making that trade, especially right now in the season, if that were to happen, which according to this, it's probably not going to happen at this point, to make a team want to do that, because why would you trade for a guy who has the legal issues, even as good as Deshaun Watson is? So to say all that, to answer your question, which is if Flores finally kind of came out and said, hey, Tua's our quarterback, there's no other conversations being had.
I'm sure there's a lot of media.
Yeah, that is absolutely coach speak. That's confidence for Tua. At the end of the day, the Dolphins are going to they're the Patriots of the South. They're going to do what the fuck they need to do to win the most football games. And Deshaun Watson is better than Tua at this point. As good as Tua can be, be, whatever you want to say. I feel confident saying Tua does not have the ceiling that Deshaun Watson has.
No,
I'm sorry. We've seen enough. I
don't know if it's close.
Yeah, I don't think it's close.
And
I don't.
That's a compliment to Deshaun. I think Deshaun is a true legend of the game.
Not at all an insult to Tua. Tua can be a great starting quarterback for a lot of years. Tua can be as good as a top 10 starting quarterback for a lot of years. His ceiling, I don't exactly know what it is. I just don't think it's Deshaun Watson.
I saw someone say it the other day, and I don't know based on the way they play if it lines up with this, but I can see it overall on career-wise and where they kind of fit in the hierarchy of quarterbacks. It was Eli Manning. Eli Manning had a great longevity of a career, Super Bowl appearances, but was he really ever the guy? Overall in the NFL when it came to quarterbacks, no. Yeah. He was never the guy. He was really never even a top 5 guy. He was just good and formidable.
He was a guy who you could win Super Bowls with. But
yes.
Listen,
that's what I think Tua can be.
That was always my argument with the Eli Manning conversation and going to the Hall of Fame, which I know we've already had this conversation on the pod, and that's a totally different conversation. But it's like, why should a guy be a Hall of Famer if he was never the best or even a top 3 at his position his entire career? Like, to me, that's not what a Hall of Famer is. Like, a Hall of Famer is you were one of the best at your position in the time you played. And to me, like, Eli was never that. He's never a top 5 guy at his position. I mean, I just don't think he was. So, and that's a good enough comp. I think his absolute ceiling is a Drew Brees. I do. And Drew Brees is definitely a Hall of Famer. Absolutely. But still, I would say like Deshaun Watson's ceiling is higher than what Drew Brees was. And that's a bold statement, maybe. I don't know. I say all that to say, you got to do what you got to do. You have a starting quarterback, hopefully, and even if Tua plays great, there can still be interest, and you trade 3 firsts and second, and then flip Tua for an extra first. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'm rooting for the trade. I am. I would love to have an elite quarterback on the Dolphins again. We'll see what happens there. But I think that is coach speak. You say that to build Tua's confidence. He's our guy right now. He's getting his chance to prove he's the guy. Fuck the rookie year. That doesn't matter anymore. What is he going to produce on Sundays?
I like it. Yeah. I have one last question because when you talked about Hall of Fame, I'm wearing my Cam jersey, and I kind of just got my feels for a sec, and I went inside and was like, it hurts because as much as I love Cam, I don't think it's going to happen.
No, he's not Hall of Famer.
I don't think it's going to happen.
But
you talked about leaving your mark on the game, though.
He's a legend of the game. He's a legend of the game. I think if he would have won that Super Bowl, he would have been.
I agree.
And as unfortunate as that is, just to think like the way the ball bounces is really like why you lost it. But at the end of the day, doesn't have a Super Bowl, has one MVP. And MVP is great, and maybe that gets you in now. But he was the best at his position for 1 year. I really like one and maybe.
I think it was longer than that. I think he had a 2 to 3 year window where he was like, damn, this is Cam Newton's season.
I think he was too, but there was 1 year where it was injuries during that time. I feel like, I think the next year he got hurt, didn't he? After that Super Bowl season?
He missed like 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, so and I could be wrong. I'm fuzzy on that. That's a long time ago. Okay, so once I feel like he re-injured that shoulder not that long ago with the Carolina Panthers, and that was kind of the tail end. It just wasn't long enough.
That's what it was, because I've already seen people, because I Googled it just split second, and I already saw people talking about it, writing articles and saying it. He does have the most rushing touchdowns ever for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And even if you rank running backs right now, I think he sits 6th overall in touchdowns based on the position as a whole, which of course he would. He's been around for a while, and that's the style that he played. It's unfortunate because I think that he really did change the game, though, with how he was able to come in, and it changed. Honestly, I could say it changed the game in a good way, a bad way when it came to being a mobile quarterback as a whole, because it let GMs and front offices realize that if you can't stand in the pocket and you can't protect your body and you can't save yourself, our typical, just say Tom Brady-esque quarterback or Peyton Manning-esque that is a 15 to 18 legendary career, if you're a legendary mobile quarterback, you're about an 8.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Lamar.
We talked about it with Lamar. I feel like we talked about it. I've said this many times, and I'll say it again. I fully believe this. Look, we said 8 to 10 years when Cam Newton got in the league. When he was like 2 years in, he was Superman. And every pundit I heard said he's going to be 8 to 10 good years. He probably doesn't have a 15-year window, but 8 to 10 years. And 8 to 10 years came, and he was out, and everyone was surprised.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the same story with Lamar Jackson. It's going to be the same story with a Kyler Murray. Yeah, it's not going to be as long. It's going to be fun, and hopefully you hit your window. But hey, honestly, that means you really only have to pay him one time. You get your 5 years of your rookie rookie contract, and then you have to pay him one really good time, and hopefully you can get a Super Bowl or two out of it. I mean, and listen, it's unfortunate,
to think about
but
how like stepping out years at a window as a whole and looking at it, because season to season, it's like Kyler's damn electric. Lamar, give me that all day, every day. But when you're looking at it from the bigger picture of we have a window and we are set up now, Cardinals are getting there. I'd say the Ravens are there.
Yeah.
And longevity-wise, you look at the Chiefs and Mahomes. You look at the
Chiefs'
Bills.
window is a lot longer.
Can you say Josh Allen?
Absolutely.
Josh Allen plays mobile, though.
They're in the window.
He has the throwing ability. Yeah. He has.
Did you see that throw in the preseason?
I've never seen a throw like that.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
I'm serious. I know that's overreacting to it.
We've seen it before,
the
but
camera couldn't catch up.
Yeah, that
was a damn zip.
It was 8 yards. It was 8 feet off the ground. I mean, it was just
a frozen rope, 35-yard frozen rope.
Beautiful.
Like that. That's
beautiful. I mean, that's one of those things I feel like when you talk about arm talent, it's not just strength. That's arm talent.
Yeah.
That's not arm strength. That is arm talent.
That's elite arm talent gets used way too much nowadays. Way too much.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think that's good. We could go all day with the Hall of Fame conversation.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we'll close it out there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are getting into the NFL season. We're going to have videos coming out. Hey, me and him are going to be doing a power rankings every week. That's going to be a separate video from the pod. You can check it out on YouTube. Obviously going to have the pod every week. I'm going to have a prop bets video every week coming out on the channel. A lot of stuff, a lot of content. We are geared up and ready to go for football season. Keep it here between the pylons. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.
7.